What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday.
Brother Empowerment Day.
Right? Thursday, my favorite day. This guy's a loser. Whatever. So if it's your, come on. Man, come on. Thursday is the best day. So if this is your first time watching, this is Brother Empowerment. I'm gonna have you to introduce it because you did it. You did it smooth last time. Tell the people what Brother Empowerment about. Why I go share this.
If it's anybody's first time with us, welcome. This is Brother Empowerment. This is a safe place and a place of nurturing and healing for brothers and by extension everyone else in the community as well. This is not a place for bashing. We are getting rid of the negative actions and negative mindsets in the community. So we're getting rid of gender inequality, getting rid of racism, getting rid of domestic violence, getting rid of rape culture, getting rid of toxic masculinity, as the phrase goes, getting rid of all of that. And so this is where we're at. Every Thursday, 8:30 to 9:30. And so you here right in the promised land. Welcome. Jokes aside, welcome.
Not in the promised land. We done made it.
Hey man, I gotta do something different every week. I can't introduce the same every week. I gotta do it different.
Okay, so guys, you guys that are tuning in, we definitely wanted to, of course, we want to do our topics like we always do. But this time I felt like it was time to bring in some spiritual artillery. And you guys know that I don't usually talk really in depth about my faith, talk in depth about the things that I believe. I usually try to stay neutral, but this is a time where I have even had to really focus on finding my center. Mm-hmm. And so I want you to meet two people who really have made an impact. When I say impact, we're talking about these over years, a lasting impact in my life. And I feel like because they have poured into me, they may be able to give you guys something to get through this time, because we can't act like we're not all on an emotional high. We can't act like things are not getting to us. We can't act like we're frustrated. We can't act like these things are just not at a place where it wants to break us down in so many different ways. But we got to do more than just stand physically. We got to stand from a spiritual standpoint. We got to stand from our soul. We got to really make sure that we are able to withstand while standing. And that's the part that get us, because the battlefield of the mind can sometimes get us and make us want to just stop sometimes. And so the first person I'm going to just introduce and give him an opportunity to just give something to you is Brian Folks. Minister Brian Folks. Hold on, you doctor now?
No, I still have to do my dissertation, so I got a couple years, man.
Okay, soon to be doctor,
yeah,
brother Minister Folks. Guys who don't know, when I first started out, I have always thought about when I started out in ministry. When I first started out in ministry, Brian Folks spoke into my life over 14 years ago, and he said, way back then, you will be an armor bearer to armor bearer, a pastor to pastor, and men will travel from afar to receive your teachings. And every last one of those things have happened, even though I'm scared about the last part. Those things have happened, and a lot of things that he instilled then, I find myself uncovering and meditating on, because it was a lot of weight there. So I introduced the next guy after Mr. Brian Folks. Just pour into the people, sir. Tell the people about you. Do whatever comes to you, man.
All right. Well, peace and grace to everybody. Appreciate the invitation to come and chat with you brothers. I'm kind of like you all, man, just trying to recalibrate as we talked about earlier, to get through this. As far as my faith tradition, I most of us would call it Christianity, but I come out of the Black radical tradition. So I tend not to use Christianity, because that was a term that was pretty much we grabbed a hold of right at the end of the 18th, 19th century, but it's really not something that Black folks have been, that has worked real well for us. So I tend to not use the moniker, but my grandmother doesn't know anything about the Black radical tradition as I do, so I have to call myself a Christian. so and that and I say that because the moment that we're in, context matters. And how we teach folks and how we train folks, sometimes the language barriers, and I'm not talking about, Spanish or English or anything like that. I'm talking about how we get down with everybody matters, because at the end of the day, the problem that we're having is folks just want to be heard. So if I'm running up on you and I'm just doing all the talking and I'm not listening, now we have a problem. And we see that with the boy in St. Louis who made his asinine comment, and he's catching it, but now he backtracked and says, look, I should have listened. And now that we're finding that if you start to listen to people, because that's what these folks in the street want, is to be heard. Where everybody's throwing out the quote from King, a riot is the voice of the unheard, but nobody is actually taking the time to listen. And so, I'm not saying I advocate looting and burning down buildings, but what I also don't advocate, I don't tell people how to get free. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm all right over here. Financially, we ain't struggling. Yeah. But for a person that's struggling, I can't tell you what you need to get free. So, and there's some collateral damage that's connected with that, which is a strange dichotomy that we all have to work through in finding our center right now. And so I'm sure we'll unpack a lot of this stuff. This is me just kind of sharing what's on my heart to jump it off. So I'll just leave it right there, and some of this stuff will just come out in the conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right. The next guy, thank you, brother minister, future doctor, folks. The next guy is anybody that's in my core. Y'all done heard me talk about him, so a lot of people probably geeked and stoked because they're finally getting to meet him. But this is my Moreh. I'm a Hebrew for teacher. This is the one that taught me a lot. So when y'all say a lot of times, like, where did you get that from? All of that is like, this is the one who showed me how much of an idiot I was humbly. He never called me an idiot. I'm stupid. But this is the one who taught me so much about who I was and what I was purposed to be. He is really like, he doesn't need validation, because when you're sitting down with the likes of, what's the dude's name? What's Megan Good husband's name?
Oh, I have no idea.
Megan Good and her husband. Look, why we are this so black. But yeah, Megan Good and her husband, and you sit down giving wise counsel to people like that at that level. I mean, the validation is that, because if you lifting up and you doing what you're supposed to do, the men will come because of what you're producing. And he's been consistent. How long I know you? It's probably about almost 8 years.
Yeah,
it's been consistent. And I met this dude just when he posted something on YouTube, and one of the random videos, he said, if you got any questions, email me. And I emailed him. And he called me. And I never let him go in that sense. He means a lot to me. So he helped me solidify my faith. Matter of fact, uncover my faith. And he's the reason why I'm able in a lot of ways to do what I'm doing for you guys and provide the strength for you guys, because of the principles and the practices that help me get a closer relationship with the Most High. So I'm grateful for him. And I feel like that he can also help provide some wisdom to you guys as well, because like I told you, it's about being able to withstand and finding that center. So, Lemariyahu.
Hey, shalom, Mishpachah. Pray all is well with everybody. It's good to be on the platform. It's I agree with brother folks. It is a trying time right now. There's so much anger, rage, confusion, what to do, and to a point, even the fundamentals of our belief is being shot out the door because of the anger. You know, the refocusing needs to take place again. I mean, right now, you know, they want to show that, hey, listen, our lives matter, which it does matter, you know, but should we go to a level, the same level that they go to, or is there a better way of showing, you know, a way to do this? And so I think that if we all take the same principle as the body, one's the arm, one's the leg, one, you know, in other words, everyone has their part to play. And if we're willing to humble ourselves and be able to play our part, I think we can be a little bit more heard than just anger. I'm not sharing as we all would agree, you know, we, through the protest that's been happening before, everyone would say, most people would say at that time, it gets us nowhere. We protest all the time, and by nature, Black people as a whole don't seem to be a radical group. They seem to be more of a humble group. And that's not to say all, you know, but it's just giving you an example that, you know, it just based off of how society's placed it in the media now, that, you know, you're causing us to be a way that we're not, you know, and now people are picking up on that. And I've watched so many news and so many shows, and it's like they have so much that they just want to get out, but they can't, and they're frustrated. And then if that's not enough, if the media is putting out more violence, or the media is omitting certain things and want you to see what they want you to see, you know, it becomes even more overwhelming. And it's like, enough. And everybody's saying enough. I've seen the video this afternoon from the mayor that was sharing, you know, hey, listen, you know, this is not normally us, but because of what you've done, to do something in the daylight, it's something to do something at night, but to do something in the daylight, like you don't care, like life just doesn't care, specifically race doesn't care. You know, we as a whole, I guess I would say, would never have done something like that. You know, by nature, we would never have done that. And so when I go back and I think about what's happening in the Bible as a whole, he's always given us a way to reach out to people. Yes, you see, there's a time for war, there's a time for peace, there's a time for a lot of things. But it also tells us how to treat other people. We're wind up vandalizing, for example, our own people's stores, looting. We're giving way to people just now taking an opportunity of what one person, a tragedy, to make it their benefit. You know, so it's like, it's just scattered confusion that's going on. And I think that, you know, if we really truly want to be heard, we need to have an organized message. We need to be one. You know, as the Mashiach says on the Messiah says, I pray that they be one as we are one. How can we be one and yet we're all going different ways in different directions and still proclaiming, you know, who we are? So I think that, you know, we really need to let them know, what is it that we're looking for? Are we looking for equality? Are we looking for safety? You know, a lot of us look at families. Hey, I don't want my children to go through any of this. I don't want to be my son or my daughter, you know, all of a sudden be on the news in a negative way. You know, so how can we do that? But then the same children are watching the violence on the TV, and they're like, this is the way we're supposed to act when this happens. So that's why I said we need to really have a more organized way of communicating our thoughts, our feelings, you know, our emotions, in hopes that we can get a resolve. And even so, to the point of even getting it to the law, you know, things need to start to change within our system.
To that point, thank you for sharing that. And to that point, the news just found out that this is the first time in history that there has been protests in all 50 states. Mm-hmm. So that's phenomenal. I guess when I was thinking about Floyd's death, I just thought about that statement, like they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a prime example of what happened with Floyd. Like, yes, he thought that he was going to get away with that, but Floyd was that seed that started a growth around. And I can't speak for every place, but one of the things that I have been most impressed with, there was an organized protest that Kerwin Pittman, we call him Superman around here. I don't know how to find out what's going on, but he knows. And he knows, and he's out in them streets before anybody. And even when some things went wrong and they tried to label him with a bad rap, he was vindicated by the governor. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so that allowed him to catapult now into places that have never been. And like, people are moving. There was a protest in Holly Springs that nobody knew about. There was absolutely no news coverage, and very little Black representation. And that's because it was white people having the protest.
Oh.
So I agree with the media representation, but what I also liked is let the white people protest on our behalf, because we don't need to be there. That's what we want. You go out there and fight. You go out there and do that. Let us stay at home. And so those type of things are changing. And it's very unique this time around. Like, I find myself having a difference of emotions on so many different levels. Like, a lot of us, I think all of us would say, like, none of us are for any type of looting or rioting. But I think none of us will ignore that the rioting and the looting is the effect, not the cause. And the response of the cry of the people, I think that is one thing that is, for the first time in U.S. history, in my belief, that it was a collective cry. And I just believe that when we come together in a collective cry, it is heard. I think things are shifting differently, and I think that people like you guys will become more the people that people will come and sit around, versus that sleazy politician, or versus that lukewarm type dude that appears to be progressive but is part of the issue. I think that people are choosing sides, but I think they're choosing sides of what's right. And I think that you can't even ignore it. I've seen people who are just flat out racist say, "Nah, I can't say nothing." They're like, "Nah, this is just wrong what they did to George." And I know it might hurt them to admit it, but this is like the truth that you can't refute. But we gotta acknowledge our people, guys, because it's about to get deep. We got Chanel in the house.
Chanel.
Superman is in the house.
What's up, Colonel, bro?
My wife is in the house.
Sis.
Brother Elijah in the house.
What's up, E?
Nichelle being disrespectful, she in the house.
What's up, Shell?
My wife said, "Hey, Lamar Yahoo."
Hey, shalom.
Mom is in the house.
Mama Garnett.
Elijah said, "Shout out to my Hebrew brothers."
Hey,
Hey,
shalom.
Lolita, how you doing?
Sean is in the house. What's going on?
Sean.
We got Tara in the house. She said,
Tara.
"Whoa." What up, brothers? Good evening. We got Uncle Twan in the house.
What's up, Uncle Antoine?
We got Jack in the house.
What's up, Jack?
And I think that's anybody else that's with us. Let us know so we can see you.
We got like Leroy, Lucy Pearl, Joey Zone, Tashia. Bunch of folks with us.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Okay. So the next one is, what about the reflections of Blackout Tuesday? What are your thoughts?
I wasn't particularly a fan of the whole Blackout Tuesday, and for two reasons. One, the people that were doing it, as far as the Black people that were doing it wrong. It wasn't even for us. You know, the Blackout was supposed to be for people who weren't Black. So they were supposed to be blacking out their social media outlets and whatnot. And also, the other reason I didn't like it is because as Black people, especially during this time, but really just in general, we should never mute ourselves. We should always be communicating and getting information out, because we are literally under attack. So we should never shut off our lines of communication, especially with each other. That's never how that's supposed to go. We are supposed to be connected because we are a communal people. So we're supposed to be communal physically and mentally, and also across these digital information highways known as the internet. So that's my take on it.
Michelle said she was annoyed.
Yeah, Michelle is one of the ones who put, one of the people that I saw among a few that put the proper information out there and said, "Hey, y'all, you know y'all are doing that really wrong, right?" So shout out to Michelle for real.
Yeah, and I was so confused because I was like, how many blackouts we gonna do?
Right.
And I do think that we need to be, I do think that there needs to be an organized and structured type of, I don't even say it should be a blackout. I think it should just be who we are as far as community.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to just be back to intentional community. I'm not against that. I think that we do need to invest in one another a little bit more. I do think that we need to connect with one another more. I don't see anything about it. I don't see why it would take a death of someone or a frustration of an event for us to come together.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we reach out? Why don't we do these things all the time? It's just like when somebody tried to allude to, like, Jay, you talking about inclusion now. No, Jay been talking about inclusion forever.
Mm-hmm.
Jay's been talking about love forever. These things have not changed. And the funny thing is, the money who will tell you, it was a time when I was like, I feel like I'm being pulled in a direction. I didn't know what it was. For about 4 years, I was like, I don't know what it was. And then all of a sudden, it was love is a parable. So this is not something that I do just for a fad. This is something of who I am. This is my life's work. And so it's some of us who've just been consistent. And so I do want to clarify, there are some things that do muddy the water and confuse the mission of those who are doing good. And we got to make sure that those add-ons or those attachments don't become distractions for what the core is truly trying to do. Because had the governors, for instance, did not vindicate Kerwin, who knows where his mission, his nonprofit, and all of that will be.
Right.
So we got to be careful of not muddying those who are truly extending and doing some great things. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got any thoughts?
Yeah, real quick. You know, I was thinking about when all these things were happening, how unorganized we are compared to how organized they are. You know, so when you think about the military or things like that, notice they have laws and they have everything they need to be successful. And so when it comes down to us as a people, you know, we don't really have that as a whole. We may have it little pockets here and there, but if we truly want to come together, we really need to be on one accord and have our agreements or laws. Like I said, I do agree with helping supporting our Black businesses, for example, you know, and hopefully that those Black businesses will also start to give back to the people, you know. And so, but if we can show some positive things concerning what we can do, the hope is that others can jump on board. But if not, it just creates chaos, you know. So, you know, I might say the police department, same thing. They got all of them organized. Everyone's organized, right, you know, but us. And then when we get out of control, then they call the organized group to come and deal with us. Whereas we should be able to be organized ourselves and deal with ourselves and deal with one another, you know, not just be idle on the side or something like that. So I think that if we can be, you know, organized, if we can start having a structure among ourselves, having showing what, as this platform is about, love is a parable. Love works in so many levels. There is a love for your own kind. There is a love for others. You know, you see the support out there today or throughout the last week where even other nationalities were out there supporting. No, they're basically saying it's enough as well. Okay. You know, so at some point, like you say, that something should be kicking in for us to say, if we really, truly want to change, let us organize. Let us come together. Let us reason together. You know, if not, that seed, obviously everyone knows, you know, you're judged by your fruit. But the point is that seed is going to be very key to what fruit you're going to produce. And the only thing we can check is just the fruit, not so much what seed you have in you up until you display how you are or how I am or things like that. So I look forward to, I look forward to basically from this, that I'm hoping that leaders and groups are coming together and say, okay, we can see now that we really need to get ourselves together. A lot of us some woke up in righteousness. Some woke up in evil and wickedness. Some of us are waking up in anger, you know. So the point is, we're everywhere. Some of us need counseling. We need to get the counseling out there to help those that are in certain situations. You know, those that have experienced certain things. How did you overcome it? You know, how has this happened? We need to really be able to communicate. And I believe the main issue for a lot of us today is lack of communication. Our communication is really, really poor, one to another, you know. And so if we can get that communication going, submissiveness going, humility going, if we can get that going, if this person is really good in this particular area, let him do what he's been given. You know, you humble yourself, let that person do it, and then you support, you back that person, you know. But if we're not willing to do that, then all we're going to do is wait for the next riot, the next thing to come out, and then here we go acting crazy and breaking things. I seen this afternoon in the news where minority, I'm talking about minority, but a sister basically was showing her building all broke up, vandalized. Why? So now all of a sudden, then you go to another, and again, the one that's operating this the news media is what they want you to see. Some things they don't want you to see. There's some things they want you to see. But what I did see, I was just shocked to see that what happened. But if it was organized, now everyone said we're not into the looting portion, right? I think we all said that. But hypothetically, let's just say you would say, listen, I'm doing this because what they've done to my brother, but these businesses are not to be touched. These are the businesses here that are our own, X, Y, and Z, and go from there. But I'm saying if someone was to believe in that, I'm just saying there's no organization. I did see the police department, some damage happened to that, and some vehicles and some cars and some. So, I think some of them are doing that. But even in a lot of those videos, you notice the one that we're doing the video is saying, oh, that you don't have to do that. Oh, why are you doing that? Stop doing. So even in those that are even recording this are stating that this is not the way. This is not the answer. And so then the question becomes, well, what is? How do we do that? How can we get these everyone in a way that we can stop something, or at least attempt to stop it, then secure some rules behind it and be able to go together. And then you never know, other nations may come in and support that. Why? Because we're organized now. We know what to do, and they can even implement some of their things that they've been through and help out. And then it starts to grow. We become one. We start to be able to show that this is the way we're supposed to be one to another. You see this happening, you do something about it. But I digress, and I'll let Brother Folks if he had anything to share.
I know folks got something to say. Before you say it, I want you to see these comments first, so it's going to add ammunition. The first one was 1 week of economic focus does not gain us enough capital to hire and expand our businesses. Boycotting big businesses without having employment opportunities house is double damage, costing our communities jobs with no way to sustain our growth. And then Michelle said, everybody want to be a leader though. That's what is frustrating to me. There has to be organization. Mia said, thanks for doing this. Tashia said she echoes you, Lamada Yahoo. We need to be very organized. One sound, one body, one movement. Tara also said most agree with boycott until it's their favorite place. That's find a way to hold those favorites accountable. Don't have to bring them down if they commit to building us up. Facts. And then it said the plan I saw gave an outline for the first week and says to continue weekly to the point of full withdrawal of big businesses. Mia said, what F's
That's not what she said. You gotta say the whole thing.
Are being broken up with shooting and tear gas. What are we supposed to do? And then she said, sorry for the cussing. Okay, it's all you folks.
Well, I don't know if y'all remember J. Rooter Damager. He has a lyric in this song of The Wrath of Math. He says, organizational skills kills more devils than bullets. And this is the key about organization. Organization takes courage. And oftentimes leaders or so-called leaders, they don't have the courage to lead and organize. See, some have the ability to give speeches, but it takes courage and ingenuity and skill to organize. King was not an organizer, but Bayard Rustin was an organizer. And just like Brother Lamadi Ahu, did I say that correctly?
Ken, yes.
He had, just like he said, there had to be an organizer there to say, hey, we need to do X, Y, Z. Folks need to stay in their proper place and know who they are. the the Congolese have an institution called the Mbangi. The Mbangi says, hey, everybody comes in, it means a house with no walls. That means everybody comes in and bring your genius to the table. And so what you're a genius in, I don't need to control. I need to let you lead that. So if you're not a good speaker, you don't need to get up and speak. If you can't sing, don't sing. But if you can organize, you organize. But when we need someone to talk to the folks on television, we let you talk to the folks on television. So we need people with money so you can bail these kids out of jail and bail people who get in jail out of jail. We need people to make sandwiches. We need people to make a mixtape. So when we go to the protest, we have something to get us amped up and listen to and get us or keep us calmed down. We need some Cold Train. We might need a little, I don't know if you listen to 2 Chainz, that ain't my thing, but whatever. Listen to a little Sade or whatever. We need people in every place in the movement to get it going. And then on the backside, we need folks that's theologically sound in whatever you believe in. I believe in Jesus or whatever. But if you a Christian, if you a Buddhist, whatever, we rolling. I'm good. Because at the end of the day, if you black, they taking you out. Whether you worship Buddha, Allah, whatever, they coming for you. Because it didn't say your God matters, it says Black Lives Matter. So, and it doesn't mean if you straight, gay, queer, transgender, everybody, we coming for you. So stay in your position and understand how this works, and that is how organization gets us through certain things. Because understand, it's going to be a little bit more than that, because we can be organized, but they still beating the hell out of us at the end of the day. So it's going to take, organization is the start, but we're going to have to continue it throughout the entire process, because it's not just we do it Monday, do it through June, and then 4th of July comes and we pop a few fireworks and we go back to business as usual, and COVID is semi over. You know what I mean?
You got something on your chest? He done spoke to you, didn't he? You got to do it in a minute.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I don't have too much to say on this because a lot of it's been covered already. But I just will say that, yeah, organization is very key. And when it comes to the issue of really protecting ourselves and really making sure our community prospers, ego needs to be taken out of it. And I feel like that is really one of our biggest culprits in the collective process. The progressive process is ego. Ego is one of our biggest, it's the silent assassin in a lot of the progress that we stand to make in this country and just as a people is ego.
I would actually add to that. First, both of you gentlemen, it's funny because what you're speaking, so when people always ask like, how did Love is a Parable grow so fast in a couple of days, in 5 more days, it'll be 3 years. And it's that same philosophy. You father? And allowing people to be who they are. Anybody who will tell you, from the board members to the advisory committee, I never want them to stop being who they are, because who they are is who was sent and who I need to do what they do. I don't need you to do anything else but be who you are. And we don't ever conflict. We don't ever step on each other's toes. And so every time something is executed, it's executed perfectly. That's why I laugh in the face of people who are saying, all y'all doing is talking about love. No, you don't understand the strength of a paradigm shift. You don't understand what can be moved when a person changes the way that they think. That's why if you even look at it, we can even go to scripture. He didn't change their intention. He just changed their motive. They were still radical and extremists all the way. He said, now I want you to focus on what you're going to use that energy for. So yes, we got frontline people that handle the front line, but we also got people that have their antennas out. So anytime anything happens, guess what happens? Jay gives them a phone call and check on them. Right. Because our family, and a family is a network, a family is a community, a family is a village. A family doesn't turn their back on one another. So when people say what we're doing, it kind of chuckles us because we're like, Have you not? Never mind. You still sleep. I understand why Spike Lee said wake up. Because the people who think they woke is just sleepwalking. And the problem is, this is the only problem I have with slavery. The problem I have with slavery is we talk so much about the field Negro and the house Negro.
You said the only problem you have.
Nobody talks about the supervisor and the driver. The supervisor, that driver, is our biggest problem in the Black community. It's the one who lives in ambiguity. It's the one who doesn't want us to progress because our progression may compromise their livelihood. It's the one who lives in the I'm not like them. See what they're doing. That what happened to Trina. She's talking about they ratchet, but the ratchet folks are the ones who gave her your business. Your whole platform is built on ratchetness. But that is that supervisor mentality. Forgot that he was a slave because he gave him an elevation. Oh, you the line leader. So we've gotten so comfortable with being a line leader that we never want to go through the door because we're afraid we'll lose our position. Those are the ones who's causing disorganization. Yeah. Those are the ones that Harriet Tubman had to get a gun for because they would disrupt the whole Underground Railroad if they made their way back. Those are the ones who's disorganized. Those are the ones who are calling disorganization. Those are the disease to progression. They're even confusing their allies. Those are the ones who speak when white people are saying, how can we help you? Well, first, we got to stop fighting each other.
Yes.
No, we need to tell your people to leave us the hell alone. That's the first thing. But no, we want to sit there and prove, oh, get white acceptance. Help me so you can. No, you're causing a problem. The driver. The supervisor is still among us. And all we do is focus on colorism, but we don't focus on the casteism that was caused by the driver. We don't focus on the confusion that's caused by the driver, the one who is causing the disorganization. Those are the ones who are causing most of the problems for us. And then they're the ones who make it look like we're not organized.
The collaborators, as they're called.
Or corroborators. In every sense of the word. Those are the ones that is causing so much confusion and so much frustration. When those are the ones that need to be silent. You know, they say, this is not the time to be silent. If you're confusing progression, close your mouth. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox. I'm off. Oh, we got a gang of comments. You want to read them? I'll try to catch up somewhere.
No, below that.
She said that was deep, Brian. She said, speak, Brian. Find what Brees on the table and pull up a chair. That's what he said. What can I do as a white woman? I know it's privilege, but I do want to know. I'm outraged by this. Tell your people stop killing us. We're gonna learn more tomorrow.
Yep.
Brandy said, yes, everyone has a lane in the movement. We can't optimize organization until we maximize our individual positions.
Yep. Say it again.
Chanel said, we as Black people have so many talents. We can do this.
Yeah.
And Mia said, you speaking truth, and she like it. Where did I go? Hold on. Where did I go? Oh, Kurt, Superman gave his fist because he probably out protesting right now. Brian said, Brian, thank you. That makes sense. Lita said, right. It's about being consistent. And then she said, that's what makes me so mad. Everyone wants to talk about Dr. King, but they killed him. Right. Like, what are we supposed to feel? Brian, you're right. And I get the anger 100%. Okay, you're gonna have to read Tara's. Oh, is that all of it? Okay, Tara said people get caught up in this or that. No, some building our own tables, whilst others are getting and using their tables. Front lines need those on the back lines for support. I can play the heck out of my position from my phone. She ain't lying. And then Tashia said, that's right. This is about consistent progress. Right now, the curtains are pulled back and the spotlight is on us. Now that we have country's attention, what are we going to do? It's time to be strategic in all areas of planning and execution, I say. And Mia said, it's powerful. I don't know what we're saying powerful. 2, we need discipline and organization. One of our biggest struggles, Sean said. What's up, Sean?
What's up, Sean?
And then Mia said, go to scripture. Everyone is already in position. Work your realm of influence now.
Mm-hmm.
You sure do. I don't know what that's talking about. Sure is, Katrina. We'll speak on it. I don't know what we're speaking on. They said, how do you convince that driver that the movement will continue and not halt the first sign of calm? They definitely exist and they're needed, but how do we get them to buy in? I don't try to get them to buy in. I move.
Yeah.
Those are the same ones who say we don't have no progression and then look up later and say, how did y'all get there?
Yeah, they're not needed because that's the thing too, is that I heard a sister, well, I read a sister.
He said car drop, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I read one of the sisters I follow on social media, she's an activist as well. She said one thing about when it came to allies and stuff like that. She said, we don't need allies because allies switch when the terms are favorable for them. She said, we need conspirators because conspirators or accomplices, she said accomplices, She said, we don't need allies, we need accomplices because allies switch up when the terms are favorable for them. Accomplice will help you hide the body. So we don't, so in a sense, and as far as I read that proper, hey, Brian, that was cold when I read it, man. I was like, oh, man. But when it comes to the driver person like Jay was talking about, is we don't need him because that person to me is what, that's a quote unquote an ally. When things are looking good, yeah, they're all with it. When things are favorable for them, they go back to the other side.
And maybe you don't understand that the driver is an ally for the master. He's not the driver is an ally to the master. The driver has sold his position and happy with his position with the oppression of his people as long as he's not oppressed.
He's comfortable.
But we can't get caught up in this performative allyship that plays the position. Because one thing about performance is that we must understand is there's 2 parts to a performance. There's the person who's actually doing the performance, and there's the people looking at the performance. And you can't have a performance without both. So when we talk about buy-in, what you're saying is that both parties are okay with this process because you're telling me I want it and the other person is saying I will receive it. So I'm a firm believer you can't tell a jackass something intelligent and they buy it. Or they get it rather. You know what I mean? It just goes over their head. They're just trying to figure out a way to keep you stupid. And at the end of the day, to keep the oppression in play. And so when we talk, it ain't even an issue of buy-in. It's an issue of control. How do I control you? Because I don't want you to organize. I don't want you to lead, and I don't want you to have no type of peace. I just want to be in control of the whole area, whatever that looks like. And so when we're living in this capitalistic society, we don't really have a choice. Otis Moss said this in his book, Blue Note Preaching. He says the church has become capitalism in drag. And literally, that's what it is. Everything we see in America has pretty much fallen into that category. It looks like it's something, but it really ain't. And you just have to touch it in the right place to see what it really is and what it will be, because it ain't telling the truth all the time unless it's secure with itself. And that's also a play on Baldwin here too, as here be dragons are. If you ever read that.
What you got, Lamont Yahoo?
Yeah, I just think that even, I think the brother disagreed with the moving out, but maybe he might agree with maybe educating educating that person, because sometimes even if you don't want that quote unquote leader there, you know, educating him might change him, or it might help at some area, some form or fashion. It may not, but the point is, we're going to have to be able to share where we're going, how we're going to do things. If he can't, then sure, move out the way. But if he can, then he should be able to help support, because he's in that type of role or that type of position. So I think that if we can, at minimum, educate and hope that this person sees the view that we're going. We're not trying to kill you. You're trying to kill me. We're not trying to do this, but you're trying to do this to me.
Right.
So if they can see where we're going, and they say, okay, I understand now. Now, if they don't want to, like you say, they still want to be a certain way, move out the way. We don't need you. But if they can say, hey, I think, man, your words convince me, at least at that moment, your words convince me. I'm willing to give it a shot. And then give room for that faith, give room for to move in a way that it could have possibly changed that person as we go forward. But everyone else, I say I agree.
Tashia said, here's another thing. It's way too many non-for-profits and organizations promoting the same thing or attempting the same message. But the problem is we're still separate. Mm-hmm. If we can move like the military, one body, one message, one movement, one darn vote, think on this. If we came up with our own voting party, we're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're the people, and we become one vote that will talk the nation and give us the control we need. And then Jack said, bingo, educating the individual. You know what, though? I think it goes back to what Nichelle said earlier. I don't think a lot of people have tapped into what their lane is. Because the shoulda, coulda, wouldas are always shoulda, coulda, wouldn't. And the people, the let us come together never come together with the come togethers.
Right.
And so I think that, yes, there are some people that when you're skilled in a profession or skilled in an area, you can't tell that person about their area.
Right.
But we have become comfortable sitting on the stoop like 227 and telling people about their area. Like a good example. Lamar Yahoo, why would I tell you something if I found out more about your whole house out of your mouth before I met anybody in your house?
Right, yeah, that would make sense.
So if I already see how you operate when you're upset with people that you're with, what would make me want to tell you something strategic, like a plan that could help all of us? That doesn't require me doing any type of long concentrating there, because you've already shown me who you were. Just like if you spend all of your time going against the movement, I don't have to spend time with you saying why the movement is important.
Working.
Convince yourself that going against the movement is where you are comfortable. Yeah. Again, if we go to the scriptures, that's why everybody didn't make it to Canaan. Because they found peace in the trenches. They found peace in the struggle of being in the wilderness. They found peace because they couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And so it's some people who just can't see it and have convinced themselves that struggle is our moniker, and that ain't my banner. And so it's sometimes we ain't got to have conversations when you are in your profession. Skills. Because we got some people who say, education ain't important, you don't need it, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? If self-discipline is not good enough for you and you're not self-disciplined, you might need to go to school. Because if you're self-disciplined, you can train yourself enough to do it. But if not, you might need to go to school so somebody else can discipline you. But we have non-disciplined people acting as disciplined people and telling disciplined people not to do what they're disciplined to do because they can't see it. They can't see past those things. And I refuse to waste my breath on someone who can't see past it and stifle the growth of a whole generation of people because somebody wants to live in ambiguity and conflict.
Yeah.
I choose not to fight with you. I choose not to be at war with you. I choose to help my people go to that next level. Tara said, people try to run with the good crumbs. As soon as you talk, if they weren't self-absorbed, I got it coming from everywhere. They make it to the great cake. That behavior has got to change. Elijah said, many wanted to go back to Egypt servitude because it was easier rather than be free and make their own way. We suffer from this today. And Perry said, that's right, peace. I don't know what you say that's right to, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's, just like as the saying goes that some of our people are okay with oppression if the chains are comfortable, as long as the chains are comfortable. And so that's where definitely discernment comes in. Because like Brother Jay said, there's some folks you don't want to have that argument with or have that discussion with or expend that energy on. You choose your battles. And there's quite a few times where I refuse to fight my own people so we can progress out of being attacked. How much energy do we expend on that on a daily basis, fighting each other so we can fight the enemy, so we can be protected or be free? That's a lot of energy expended in a effort neutral sort of way.
But here's a conundrum with that. After we help everybody, we still come back and get the jackasses.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
We do all of this, we'll leave them, but we still come back for them. Because it's something in us won't allow us to let them go. You see what I'm saying? That's how you tell people with a good heart. Like Terry said, we don't go back and forth with the crumbs. We know what a cake is, but once we get everybody there, we come back. Just like the same ones who doubted us in 2017, many of them have come back and we have welcomed them with open arms. Never once telling them the things that we heard about them, the things that they put out about us. We welcome them because what's better is where we're going. But we had to leave them first. We had to leave them, be like, I can't entertain that because you're stopping progression.
Yeah.
So it's just like some people don't even get that, man. Like, yeah, sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to be in the wilderness by yourself for a minute.
Yeah, I believe that, I mean, as a nation, as a people, I think we definitely need some healing.
Yeah.
We've been damaged, so much that we need some healing. We need some restructuring. We need a foundation that we all can grow from. And until we get that healing, until we get that help, and like you said, Jed, sometimes we go outside to other nations for help. We don't even look at our own people that can give us help. And reality is, you'll be surprised in what we can get from our own people. But we're so comfortable with what happened. Like I remember we were talking, me and Jay, some years ago. We were talking about his car getting fixed, and I hate to say it, I might have to go to that white man, because I know he'll fix that car right, Not that the black guy would, but he might be wanting something else, or he might break another part, or it's like we don't have it trust even in ourselves anymore. They've really, really broken us down to a point that we are, and they broke us down good, I'm going to say, in a way that we can't even trust one another. We really, really have that issue. And there are some times where we need to be by ourselves. As he said, you be in a wilderness by yourself. What is, I hate to go on the Hebrew tangent here, but just hear me out for a little bit.
Say it.
The word,
say it.
It's the word for wilderness. The word bar, right? So then bar, the root of that word is the bar or word. We need to be by ourselves to get the word.
That's right. That's right.
That is, get rid of all of this noise, all this confusion. we really need to get into that place we can come back and absorb what is pure, unadulterated, something that we can build from. And then that will be meat for us to be able to hold on to and share and begin to grow.
That's right. That's real. That's good stuff there.
You gotta say the word again, Brian, your old deep voice. We couldn't even hear the word.
Oh, I'm sorry. I knew it was coming because when he said it, I said, "There it is." I was getting ready to say it, but when he said it, I was ready.
What are the words? What was the word again?
Midbar. The word for Leviticus, right? So the word for Leviticus, the book of Leviticus, is midbar. Right? I mean, it's not Leviticus, but Numbers is a midbar. And so that root of that word, as I said, Bamidbar, the root of that word is devar, or debar, meaning word. Like the Father's commandments is a devar, a word. So we really need to get back to that place of getting something, all the distractions, all the noise, all that pollution, all that needs to go away. We need to get back to understanding, what we were supposed to be, specifically in his eyes. We're not even doing the things that we're supposed to be doing, or some are not supposed to be doing the things that we're, in his eyes. If we're supposed to be a light, for an example, to the nation, what is light? So if they don't understand what light is, then how can you be that light to the nations? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. It's really going back to the fundamentals and figuring out, what is it we need to do as a people, as a nation, and then begin to show that to them, that this is who we are, and you're not going to take us off of that. But now here comes the enemy from all sides trying to throw us off. And then next, this comes. See, that's them people right there. And no matter what you do, that one black person is all black people. This is what black people do. You're like, wait a minute. What'd you say? And so same thing. But then you ask that, I know this is a decent, okay, good. I think I say this on this platform. All right. So the question I had, not really so much a question, but I had a talk with a lady, a young lady, and she was saying about how she believes blacks are they're very and her however she grew up, they were not good. I'll just say it that way. So she was like, but they don't know how to be a Christian. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, ma'am, let me ask you a question. I said, if I'm going to show you some pictures, you tell me, is this a good Christian? And she says, okay. So I show a picture of the KKK inside of a church, and I said, now they call themselves Christians. I said, are they Christian? No. I said, but they say that they are. So I have to now put you in that same category as all Christians are these type that are that hue. And she says, no, you can't do that. I said, neither can you do that to the black man. You cannot put everyone in the same ball and say, this is who we are. And I said, that's the problem with sometimes denominations. You start dividing things, versus creating a way of life that the Messiah has shown us. It's a way of life, and we're going to operate in that way. But no, I'm Southern Baptist. And if any is Southern Baptist, Pentecostal, I apologize. I'm just using it as an example. I'm Baptist, Southern Baptist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, whatever they are, and they stick to that. And I'm like, but we all believe in the same Messiah. We all believe in the same book. They said, yeah. So what happened? Who came up with these denominations or this who came up with that? And so we adopted some of those things. And so now, as this educational age is coming, now the books are open, as Daniel says, right? Knowledge is increasing. We're starting to learn more. We're starting to say, wait a minute, let me look at this thing right. We're not saying I'm going to look at this from my Baptist, my Hebrew, my Presbyterian. They're not doing that. They said, let me read what's happening here. Let me study this out, show myself approved, and now let me grow. Well, no difference in us as a people. We have to now be able to do the same thing. Sit back, study, heal is the key thing to a lot of this stuff. We need healing. Thousands of years of hurt and pain and things that they witnessed. And so much so that even in our own background, let's say, I don't have to go back hundreds of years. I can just go back to some of our grandparents' years, our parents' years. How many of us went through some pain and hurt just within our own family? And then now we find in ways, we start coming up with this rage and pain, and we take it out on others, or we take it out on the streets, or whatever we're doing. We really need some healing as a nation.
Yeah. So the question came up, is this a Bible study? No, it's not a Bible study. But what I did believe, is that these two gentlemen are also very well versed in several religions. So this is somebody you can talk to no matter what your background is, no matter what your faith is, because what I felt like we needed is somebody that can speak to the soul and spirit. Because right now we're weak. We're dealing with a lot. And so everybody's talking about mental health, everybody's talking about coming together, everybody's talking about all of those things, but no one is really talking about solidifying and finding your balance. And so these men you can talk to with or without me present. You can reach out to them and they will give you sound information no matter what walk of life you're in. And that's what we need right now. Like, we don't need nobody to judge us, period, based on what we are, but they can provide you that. That's the same reason why I charge all the leaders to make sure that they know about all religions, because we want to be able to help and assist no matter what walk of life you come from, and we don't want to be insensitive to your walk. Mm-hmm. So this is about dealing with that part of you that sometimes is abandoned when you go through. So no, not a Bible study, not any of that. But if you get your soul fed and your spirit fed, good. That's what we want. We definitely want you to be in a place where you get those things, because you need balance. You need balance. And we well over our hour, but I kind of knew this was gonna happen. But this is normally where we do positive brother shout out. Where we shout out brothers. The idea is brothers who normally don't get recognized for the things that they're doing, but they're contributing and they're doing things. Or that brother who, can't spend time with his family because he always working 3 jobs and stuff like that, who doesn't really get that recognition like the lawyer, the pastor, the politician, or whatever. So this is for you guys to shout out any brothers that you want to shout out. We're going to have to get you on, Lil Mariahu, by yourself, and Brian, we'll have to get you on by yourself. I already know that.
I just enjoy listening.
Whatever.
I do, man. I'm always learning.
Okay. Who you want to shout out then, Brian?
Shoot. And let me shout out my brother Jeshua Harris. Brother Benedict. You know Jeshua.
I probably don't.
Frat brother. He a fellow frat brother from Benedict. He came out with me. Good brother. He's actually in Minnesota.
I play Brian. You are elder.
Well, you are a little tad bit younger, but he's working with youth in Minnesota, in the middle of the struggle right now down there, in the middle of the protesting and everything that's going on. Let me shout that brother out. The work he's doing with the youth down in that area. Real good brother. Lost his mother about a month ago, right before this, and then 2 kids he was working with, 2 or 3 kids. So he lost his mother and then 3 kids right after that he was working with. So big ups to him and salute to him.
All right, brother. Thank you for what you're doing down there. You say Minnesota, right?
Yeah, he's in Minneapolis.
Okay, brother. Okay, brother. Well, we with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who you got, Mariahu?
Woo. Man, there's so many. So I just say, out in California, I got a brother Hananya. He's out there. He likes to go out. He dedicated a time every month to go out and give out water, food, and stuff to the homeless, to the elderly. He'd knock on their door, drop off the water, give them some word if necessary. But he's been doing that for some time, and I just, with him and Shaul, both of them do that. Brother Meded Yahoo in Virginia and Yeshurun, and they have a heart for the people. They really, really have a heart for the people. They just really want, some peace, to happen, some love, some education. So really, they do much counseling just to help out and try to help those that need help. So I definitely give them some shout out. You got Baruch and Samak and Kasadaba. There are a lot of brothers, that I could say. But again, it's about going out there to the community. It's about trying to reach out to the people and trying to help them out. So, and of course, I got a one shout out is to Brother Jay here on the platform. You got to share. Like I said, we've been coming together. The Father has put us together from the start. So that's what I say. It's always been a blessing. So again, see all the work you're doing. Love is a parable, and helping people understand the levels of love. And so if we can understand those levels within ourselves, because there's a level and then you have a level. And if they can understand how that works, and if they don't, they will understand how that works. But, I just to say shout out to a lot of people that I could see doing work, within the community, online, so I just think it's a real blessed thing to do.
Well, first and foremost, always give a shout out to my brother Jay. We're here every week. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, all that. It's not too bad. But yeah, so we.
I'm about to say you done did that too.
Yeah, I have been here and all that. But no, just shout out to Brother Jakes. We're here doing this every week, and shout out to y'all two brothers as well. Just because this conversation is definitely what's needed, especially with the climate right now. I mean, this would be just a coming together of the minds, just in general, but especially right now, is very much needed because unity is one of the things that just makes us stronger. Individually, we are weak. Not to call anybody weak, but as a collective individual, we are weaker. That's not something that is a trademark of our people. We're, like I said before, we're a communal people. We are together. And so shout out to y'all brothers. Shout out to all the brothers on the live that came, and shout out to all the brothers that are going to watch this later. But also, as I said a couple weeks in a row, shout out to all brothers that are really putting 10 toes down their community and they're doing more and talking less, because there's a lot of talking that's going on right now. I mean, there's a lot of talking that's going on right now. The action is really what separates people from just commentators.
Right.
You basically said everything, bro. Like I said, I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have this dude on my side. This started out as a frustrated conversation, and it ended up being something that we all needed. Just like tonight, I do believe that a lot of people needed this because it was the needed distraction. To take your mind off of it just for a minute, to rest. So every brother, I just want you to have the ability to rest tonight. Have that peace tonight, because yes, we're constantly doing things. We're constantly feeling like we're under attack or under some type of arrest. But tonight, I just want you to have peace, and I'm hoping that something spoke to you. For those who may be a little bit more interested in either one of them, you may reach out to either one of them. They're very open with that. So if you feel like you just need more, reach out to them. And if you need me, you definitely can reach out to me, or
inbox is always open.
Yeah, it is. It's bad, y'all. We don't ever sleep. But also tomorrow, for those who are non-Black, we didn't get to that conversation. We'll discuss it next week. For those who are non-Black, we had white allies who actually reached out to Love is a Parable and asked, like, what can we do to be better allies to serve the community? So we actually are doing a workshop starting tomorrow, ending on Sunday, a 3-day workshop to help our or those who choose to be allies to be effective in the things that they can do, so they can help alleviate some of that frustration by dealing with their people. So we don't have to deal with that. So that starts tomorrow. So if you know of anybody who might be interested, definitely share it with them, or they can reach out to us directly. Like we say every night, if you feel like that there's nobody in this world that loves you, you just met 4 more who do. All right, you guys make it a wonderful night. We'll be talking to y'all soon.
See y'all next week. We'll get to the topics next week. The rest